John Alford with Five Rings Financial coming to you today. Wanted to chat with you a little bit about the military pay and allowances that we get while we're on active duty and some ways to leverage those for you and your family's financial future while you're serving and then also after you get out, whether that's 1 or 2 tours in the military or as a retiree. The first thing, let's talk about how we get paid while we're in the military. Our base pay and most of our special pays are fully taxable. There's no way around that, but one benefit that you get that most people in the civilian sector don't have is untaxed allowances. The big one there is your housing allowance that can sometimes be a sizable portion of your total income. The other thing that you get that's a great benefit is Serviceman Group Life Insurance, or as you've probably heard it called, SGLI. That's up to $500,000 of group term coverage. That's very low cost and it's tied to you being in the service, not tied to your age. It's a very cost-effective life insurance plan. Family SGLI can also be added as an optional coverage on your family. And again, that is very cost effective to cover your spouse and any children that you have. The other benefit is if you are deployed into a declared combat zone, more than likely your base pay is untaxed, which means all of your income for that time period is non-taxed to you. The last thing I want to talk about on your basic financial benefits is in the military, you all have access to the Thrift Savings Plan. There's now a Roth version of the TSP, Thrift Savings Plan, as well as the Standard Plan. And if you're covered under the blended retirement system, you get a match into the TSP. So if you contribute 5%, to TSP, either Roth or regular, you get a 4% match in the regular TSP. And that's a good benefit. I view that as basically you get a 4% pay raise by doing something beneficial for your family. The other great thing about TSP, without going into great detail right now on it, is TSP is a very low cost version of a retirement plan. It's like a 401k or a whole alphabet soup of other retirement plans in the civilian world, but TSP is very low cost. I'd really like you to consider, while you're on active duty, at least contributing to get that 4% match. Things change when you separate from the military or you retire. The first thing is your retirement pay is 100% taxable at the federal level. And most states, or many states, tax it as well. And sometimes, because that counts as income, that tax could be as high as 8-9% for those of us that retire, stay in California. We do have what's called Survivor Benefit Plan, or SBP. That is optional pension protection that you can now pick a portion of your retirement. When I retired, it was all or none to protect part of my pension for my wife and my dependents. Now it's on a sliding scale, and it does protect up to 55% of your pension if you pass away before your covered beneficiary. The other thing that changes when you retire is all of those tax-free allowances go away, and any income you make in a second career and, as I mentioned, that retirement is fully taxed. One thing that I would encourage you to apply for when you separate or retire is your VA disability rating. Now, there's no guarantee that you'll be rated. Many of us are, but that is a tax-free benefit that's paid to you. It does offset your pension if you're a retiree, unless you are rated at 50% or above. I'd recommend you talk to either the VA or what's called a Veterans Service Office, VSO. That's something like the VFW, the American Legion, the Disabled American Veterans. All those organizations I've worked with, they've helped me out. I also volunteer with them. The Serviceman Group Life Insurance that you have while you're on active duty can be converted to Veteran Group Life Insurance, or VGLI, when you retire. It is dollar for dollar up to the amount that you had of SGLI. If you have the maximum 500,000 SGLI, you can get a full VGLI at 500,000. There are some differences. I'll do a separate video just on those. But VGLI is what's called 5-year renewable term. So the price is based on your age, but it's the same price for a 5-year window until you hit like 40, 45, 55, etc. The challenge with VGLI, I'll go into more detail later, but it can be very expensive as you get older. The beauty is you can get it automatically. In the private personal insurance industry, you have to qualify for coverage. VGLI you get just as long as you had SGLI and you agree to pay that premium based on your age. The last thing to talk about TSP one more time real quick is if you contributed to the thrift savings plan, either Roth or regular, while you're on active duty, you can leave your funds in there. You cannot add unless you become a federal servant. If you're in the reserves, you can also contribute to TSP, but once you separate from military or federal civilian service, you cannot add to your TSP account. You can potentially roll other retirement accounts into there, but one challenge with the thrift savings plan is it is mainly in market-based instruments. And one thing that I like educating people about is options where your money is not at risk when the market goes down. There are ways to do that. I will tell you though, separate from that discussion, I have had personal 401ks through other employers, and they are much more costly in a fee structure than thrift savings plan. So I'm a big fan of TSP, especially while you're on active duty and you can get that match. So that's just a once over the world on the core military pay and other benefits and allowances, and then some of the benefit plans like SGLI and thrift savings plan. Hope you've learned something. I'd love to share more with you about this. I help teach a class called Money 101 with 5 Rings Financial, or I just like getting together to talk to service members over a coffee or a happy hour beer, and would love to talk with you about what you're doing while you're on active duty and then as you transition or retire. Thanks a lot.